The sunlit garden in California glowed with soft music and laughter as guests gathered for Emily and Mark's long-awaited wedding. White roses lined the aisle, and every seat was filled with smiling faces, eager to witness the union of the perfect couple. Emily, radiant in her lace gown, held her bouquet tightly, her heart racing with excitement. Just as the priest began the ceremony, a sudden whisper spread through the crowd. A small boy, no older than 9, appeared at the edge of the aisle. He was barefoot, his jeans dusty, and in his arms lay a newborn baby, wrapped in a faded blue blanket. The guests exchanged puzzled looks, unsure if this was part of the wedding. The boy's eyes searched the crowd until they landed on the groom. With hesitant steps, he walked forward, his face pale but determined. When he reached the front, he looked up at Emily and then at Mark. His voice trembled, but carried through the silence. "You need to know the truth before you say, 'I do,'" he said. The music stopped. Emily froze in confusion, while Mark's confident smile faded. The boy clutched the baby closer, as though protecting him from something unseen. The garden fell into complete silence. The priest hesitated, unsure what to do, as every pair of eyes turned toward the boy. Mark's face drained of color. "What are you talking about, kid?" he demanded, his voice trembling slightly. The boy swallowed hard and took a deep breath. "This baby is yours," he said. Gasps echoed among the guests, and a murmur swept through the crowd. Emily's bouquet slipped from her trembling hands as she stared at her fiancé in disbelief. Mark shook his head quickly. "That's impossible," he said, but his voice cracked. The boy reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded envelope. "My mom told me to give you this before she died last week," he said softly. Emily's hands shook as she took the letter and unfolded it. The handwriting was familiar. It belonged to Mark's former girlfriend, a woman Emily knew only by name. The letter revealed everything. How Mark had reconnected with her a few months earlier, how she had discovered she was pregnant, and how she had passed away after giving birth. Her final wish was that her son be delivered safely to his father. Emily's heart broke as she finished reading the letter in silence. Emily stood frozen, the letter trembling in her hands as tears filled her eyes. The guests remained silent, the joyful music replaced by the sound of wind rustling through the trees. Mark stepped closer, trying to explain himself, but his words stumbled over guilt. "I didn't know, Emily, I swear. She never told me," he said desperately. But the boy's innocent gaze spoke louder than any excuse. "Mom said you would deny it," he whispered, his voice quivering. The newborn stirred in his arms and let out a small cry, breaking everyone's hearts. Emily's knees weakened, but she steadied herself, staring at the child, so small, so fragile, yet carrying the weight of truth. The priest quietly stepped back, giving them space as whispers filled the crowd. Emily crouched down to meet the boy's eyes. "What's your name, sweetheart?" she asked softly. "Ethan," he replied, clutching the baby closer. She reached out gently to stroke the baby's cheek. "And what's his name?" "Tommy," Ethan said. "Mum told me to find Dad because he's all we have left." Emily's chest tightened. Her world, once built on promises, now felt like it was crumbling under the weight of a child's honesty. Mark reached out, trying to touch Emily's arm, but she stepped back, her eyes cold and filled with pain. "You've already made your choice, Mark," she said quietly, her voice breaking. "You chose to lie instead of trust." Ethan stood still, confused and scared, holding the baby protectively. The guests watched in heavy silence, some wiping away tears, others unable to look away. Mark tried again to speak, but no words came. Emily turned to Ethan and smiled softly through her tears. "You were very brave to come here," she said, kneeling beside him. "Your mum would be proud of you." Gently, she took the baby in her arms. The newborn stirred, letting out a faint sound before falling asleep again. Emily looked at Mark one last time. "A wedding built on secrets can never last," she whispered, placing her engagement ring on the altar. Then, with quiet strength, she took Ethan's hand and walked down the aisle, leaving behind the stunned crowd and the man she once loved. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Emily knew this ending was also a beginning, one shaped by truth, courage, and the small boy who dared to speak when no one else could. And a man's silence,